Today is January 29th, 2023. And this time, Aaron and I will be talking about something that honestly will probably never impact us directly because honestly, if we ever get that big, wow, I will be impressed. But B, also, I'm not in it for the money either. So, I mean, I guess I'm that way, Steven, on this one.
That's what they all say at the beginning.
Funny.
Wow,
I can learn English. You were called a different name and blah, blah, blah. And you're going to hell and I'm going to hell 6 times over because I got 6 tattoos. So do you want to do the intro, Mr. Josh Brewer?
What was my name?
Mr. Josh Brewer?
Almost Johnson.
I was going to say, it sounded like he was going, Josh and Johnson.
Yeah, no, it almost was Johnson Brewer. Go Power Rangers! You know what? So many times, I have to say this. You and Josh are so similar. So many things.
What? No. No.
Yeah. Today, your ADHD is very much on Josh point.
Is not. It's very normal.
Okay, sure.
It's normal level.
You didn't even finish putting down one item when you picked up another item and started opening it.
It was down out of my hands, and then
Yeah, okay, there we go. He's already reaching for another item.
I'm kidding.
One of these days, shortly, soon, you should be able to see that as well.
See,
Aaron's running and moving around and looking at different things and picking up different things all the time. And
lights.
We'll see how that goes. That might be entertaining for both of us to do that. But regardless of the fact, that's not what we're here to talk about. Aaron's ADHD, my ADHD, Josh's ADHD. That's all well documented and well known between the three of us at times. What I was going to say is that today, thankfully, it has not been fully news cycled out yet. It's, the last time something really happened was Tuesday with stuff like the quartering and that covering the whole Steven Crowder, Daily Wire, all that.
He covered it?
Oh, yeah. The quartering has been covering it the whole time. Quartering is the guy actually
in Milwaukee.
Yeah, he's in Milwaukee, right by us.
Yeah.
And remember the original website Mug Club Forever?
Didn't he help?
He helped
put that up or whatever.
Exactly. So when Steven Crowder and that first announced that he was leaving the Blaze, I had issues with the Blaze myself, anyways. But regardless of the fact, when he announced that he was leaving there, he set up a website, mugclubforever.com. People tried to go signing up. I tried to go that first 2 days, honestly, and the site was just crashing the entire time. Never could get a submission through. And then Jeremy kind of stepped in and helped him out. And I kind of figured something was up because that Thursday or whatever, I was reading my morning tweets as I do in the morning, just kind of getting the lowdown of what's going on in the world overnight.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I know.
Fun way to start the day.
Hey,
Twitter.
I listen to a half hour of audio news while I get ready in the morning. And then I scroll the tweet timelines for 5-10 minutes just to kind of catch up on what the news doesn't capture. Because Reuters, for whatever reason, still runs the same articles on their audio news from December, which drives me nuts. Anyways, and I noticed there was a tweet from Jeremy saying, I was up all night and talking about this, being up all night, helping a friend out and that. And I was like, that's interesting. And then Crowder's show came on and he's talking about, and big thanks to the quartering for it. And I was like, oh, okay. Nice. I got it. Yeah, because the quartering I shouldn't say used to, still does, I think, does web advertising as his primary income source.
Oh, okay.
In addition to his coffee brand coffee, as well as his website and all that. And that's a whole other fun thing. He's locked out of his Twitter account, blah, 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 right now. That's a whole other side issue.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So quickly on that one. Are you familiar with the person Eliza Blue?
No, the name oddly sounds familiar. But...
Okay, she was on Timcast a little while ago. And the reason you might have known about her, she is representing or helping represent, apparently, some women who say that they were trafficked by Andrew Tate. We all know that name. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So she was on Timcast and all that fun stuff and talking about it. Well, what happened is because she says that, and this is where it gets into weirdness and murkiness, where she says that she herself was trafficked at one point. Okay. And now that's where it gets weird and murky. So I'm not going to dive into that right now. But what happened was, like, the quartering and all that, they found the video where she supposedly was trafficked, which was a music video that she danced in and was in and all that. They posted photos of it, or someone else did, posted photos, little clips from the music video that was available on YouTube at the time.
Okay.
Eliza got it struck down saying, "Oh, you're sending personal, intimate photos of me to someone else without my consent," even though it was from a YouTube video.
What? Okay.
Yeah. So then Jeremy, the quartering, got involved. He said, "Hey, this is available publicly. Here's the link, da, da, da." He then got banned off of Twitter. And then a bunch of our people, like, was it Yellow Jedi and a couple others? I think there's a couple hundred at this point that have been banned in total for retweeting that same photo from that link and from that video. And she just has been copyright striking them all and saying, "No, it's been my personal intimate video and my personal intimate photos." Well, now she's actually gotten those YouTube videos removed as well, but it just keeps getting worse and worse as the cycle goes
What?
through. So it's a whole other mess that if we were to cover that right now, that would be a whole other episode. So we're not going to cover that.
All right, let's do it.
It's definitely one of those that keeps, I guess you could say, it's the gift that keeps on giving with Eliza Blue, and makes me question a lot of stuff that she says in that. But yeah, all that kind of got, tried to, I guess you could say, overshadow, other stuff, at least in the conservative corner, but it hasn't fully yet. And I think people are still very much in talking about the wonderfulness that is Daily Wire versus Steven Crowder, or Steven Crowder versus Daily Wire, whichever way you want to go with that, and whichever side of the fence you happen to line up on with that.
Yeah.
Now, me and Aaron have talked a little bit about it off air. Based on some of what Aaron has said, I have a feeling I know where Aaron lines up on some things, but I'm not trying to put words in Aaron's mouth either. So I want to hear it straight from the horse's mouth, aka Aaron's mouth. What are your thoughts on Steven Crowder versus Daily Wire? What is, I guess, why are you on one side or the other, or are you not on a side, or what's going through the mind of Aaron, the average Joe, when looking at Daily Wire, Steven Crowder at all?
Well, at first I was like, Steven, yeah, let's go. Back the whole, what was the website? Something con, Stop Big Con, or
StopBigCon.com.
Yeah, StopBigCon.com. So I was all on board with that. I was like, hot dang. I was like, I mean, there was no surprise to me that I was like, when he'd say stuff like, those Republicans that aren't really, doing stuff for the people. It's all things that they want to do for themselves and with their own gain, kind of crap like that. Okay, yeah, of course, no surprise there. Then when I found out that whole and again, I remember Candace was going on and on and on and on about it's not a contract, but it was like a terms and conditions,
A term sheet,
whatever. Yeah. It's like, obviously there could be things negotiated and blot stuff out, and that's when she was going on about, like, when she has her thing with the Daily Wire. She's like, there was stuff on there that she crossed out and said, none of this kind of thing, whatever. She was saying, yeah, there's a bunch of dumb stuff in there that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So that's kind of weird.
And she even admitted that this contract could be unfair to new talent.
When I found out it was the Daily Wire, I was kind of upset. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I was like, this is stupid.
Wait, you didn't realize it was the Daily Wire right away?
I did, and that was what Candace was going on. I was like, oh, everybody knew he was talking about the Daily Wire. I was like, I didn't know.
Well, okay, so let's back up. Let's back up here a second.
Yeah, okay.
When Steven was going over the term sheet, not the contract, the term sheet,
yes,
he crossed off the name of the company.
Yes,
and based on how short the company name was,
Oh, I didn't even look at that.
It was the width of 2 to 3 letters long on the term sheet. I was like, oh, DW. That's that.
See, but that's a drum company, okay?
Yeah, but he's not making a deal with a drum company. But
I mean, he could. That'd be kind of cool.
So that's why a lot of people automatically assumed it was Daily Wire, is because when you had all that blocked off on the term sheet, it was 2 to 3 letters. So it could be DW or DW's, DW apostrophe S.
See, anyways, you're describing this to a oblivious.
I know, that's why I want to hear.
Unobservant.
This is why I want to hear your thoughts first before we play anything.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it, and then finding out that whatever it was the Daily Wire, I'm like, oh, this is so freaking stupid. Like now we're just fighting amongst ourselves, all this crap. But then I was like, okay, well, yeah, kind of going back and forth about okay, who's actually making the big deal here, and like I don't know. I guess I figured at one point the Daily Wire, yes, they have multiple people that are a part of the company and stuff like that, multiple creators.
Mm-hmm.
And Crowder is just his own kind of thing. So it's like if all these people love the Daily Wire so much, maybe Crowder's kind of misstepping here. And then, okay, and again, I didn't watch the full video with Jeremy going through the whole document and stuff like that.
Okay, I did.
Yeah. As soon as I saw it was 52 minutes, I was like, oh heck no. Mainly because it's like, okay, I'm not by any means a smart person. So when they're going through all that kind of stuff, I don't know half the stuff that's going on anyways. Which probably should change someday. Who knows? Maybe I'll grow up. After seeing that, I was like, okay, so they're willing to like read the whole thing. I was like, okay, well, I'd imagine if they've got nothing to hide, that's why they would do that. And then at first, I did not like the thing that Crowder did afterwards with the whole recording and playing that one snippet back. I was like, all right.
Oh, the wage slave snippet?
Yes.
Okay.
Which, yeah, that was very, I didn't like hearing that coming from the Daily Wire either. I was like, okay, well, they're probably just messed up in some ways anyway. But my biggest thing with this, and I mean, this just goes for political crap in general, is no matter what, you're going to hear each side whine and other words that come to mind about the situation. They're not going to back down or be like, okay, well, maybe admit any wrong to anything. So it's like, no matter what, this is going to be dumb. I hope it's not, but in my mind, it's like, this is just going to be a bad falling apart, burned bridges, and now it's like, but that's the thing, it's like you're never gonna find out the whole picture, I'd imagine, unless you could literally just get both of them sitting down together and have the whole thing, no edits, raw footage of them talking and going back and forth and actually being transparent about stuff. But nobody does that.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's been a theme for quite some time lately.
Oh, what's this frustration about?
Me nuts. So yeah, no, I just yeah. So there's all that, and then hearing Candace, her rambling self, go on and get super heated on Tim Cast IRL stuff, and that was one thing with her. Like, okay, like after listening to some of her stuff, I was like, I was like, yeah, maybe there's some stuff she's got against Crowder. Maybe, I don't know. The biggest thing I think I had from her was her bringing up his acting past.
Right.
I'm like, okay. Now, granted, I thought a lot of stuff she said kind of seemed really stupid, and she's just yelling crap to yell crap because she's emotional and losing it, whatever. And as we were talking earlier today, but it's like, as you'd said for, what's his name? Well, Ben, he's doing his thing about talking about this Crowder situation, how he's so hurt. And then he just goes right into saying his ads and stuff like that, his sponsorship stuff.
Right.
And Candace is going on Crowder about being this actor. And it's like, you have all of them, they can be getting so heated about something and then jump into an ad. And it's like, oh, just like an actor probably kind of could do. So to some degree, it's like, I don't buy that crap because it's like, you all can act. And I don't know. I would say nobody probably is perfectly innocent in a sense on either side. I'm sure each side has their own crap that they've been doing. Do I blame Crowder for doing the recording of the phone call? Not anymore. Not after listening, especially after listening to the Night's Watch guy. From the sounds of it, and when he was, and I didn't watch his video breaking down the terms, condition thing, whatever.
Right.
But just from how he was describing stuff from that offer, it's the fact that they offered him something so crappy in the first place, from the sounds of it. Already, and him saying that if Crowder didn't know any better and just accepted it, Daily Wire would have taken it, no problem, probably. So it's the fact that, and this is going off of what he's saying, if they didn't offer Crowder something that they actually thought was fair and reasonable, is that what friends do for one another?
Right.
If they're claiming to be friends?
Because that's all Ben's thing, Jeremy's thing, and Candace's thing is, we thought we were friends.
Yeah.
We thought we were friends. And then, and I'll get back to this clip in a little bit here. Crowder goes, and Tim Pool goes,
yeah,
okay, you thought you were friends, and then you send this crap clip over. This crap contract or term sheet. Term sheet.
Whatever.
Yeah. So, you talking about the whole thing of Ben Shapiro just like talking about it and then going right into an ad read?
Yeah.
Here, I have that right here.
It's absolutely repulsive. We'll get to more on this in just 1 second. First, if the past couple of years have taught us anything, it's that any...
he's like, it's absolutely repulsive.
It just flips.
But
and that's what they're...
We'll get to that in a second. And the thing is, after he gets up with his ad read, he doesn't address Crowder again. He doesn't get back to it. No.
Oh, you done lied right there, buddy. And that was another thing. And like watching, and after listening to Ben's video again, well, through this Night Watch's dude's video.
Yeah.
To hear Ben say like this is like some of the most disgusting stuff he's seen in politics, I'm like,
if that's the most disgusting thing you've ever seen, Ben, you're not watching the right things.
Stuff like that, comments like that. It's like, okay, now you're just saying crap to add dramatic effect to it. And that's not okay. You've got to be real and like, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? But just kind of like realistic on how the level of things are going on here. Because it's when you blow stuff out of proportion, it just, again, now also makes things a bigger deal than they really are. It gets feelings more hurt, which, come on, Ben, he's the whole, facts don't care about feelings kind of thing. So,
and here he's letting his feelings greatly impact his what he perceives as fact.
Yeah. So it's like I'm losing some like for the whole Daily Wire thing right now. But and to their credit, they have done some good stuff. They've had a lot of good stuff that they've put out.
What is a woman? Candace, or not Candace? No,
Matt Walsh.
I don't know. I mean,
I know you have your issues with Matt Walsh.
I have my issues with Walsh. Again, he did great thing with the Was a Woman documentary.
Right.
Gina Carano, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, how they brought her and backed her up when things were going south.
Yeah, but Matt Walsh, he has chosen his hill to die on, being that all pit bulls should be killed. I'm like,
he wants stupid.
Like, you want to kill my Xena? I'm sorry, we're gonna have issues here.
We're gonna have problems,
and how they're only bred for fighting, and they will turn on me and my family. I'm like, dude, you don't know these dogs at all.
Well,
he's also not a dog person in general, so.
Well, then get out of here, Matt.
Yeah. Anyways,
I'll say, but I mean, I can see Xena turning on somebody,
on one. No. It's not that she's turning on that person. I know which incident you're talking about.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
It's not that she'd turn on them from the get-go as soon as he got in the vehicle.
Oh, that too. No, I was thinking of something different, but yes. Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now I understand.
Dearest, yeah.
Yeah. My mother dearest. That one, I don't think she would turn, but she might do like a defensive.
Yes.
You're yelling at my master. Snap. Not a snap as in a bite, but a snap as in get away, back up, stop this, do this thing. But yeah, the other one I thought you were talking about was when someone got in my vehicle and she just would not stop growling at him.
Dogs can sense things. I would only imagine.
So I don't know what she was sensing that day, but she was not a happy camper with that person in the vehicle, and she was just saying, no. I'm not going to
get this person
because it wasn't just the growl; it was barking.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to hold her back while she's lunging. So, all right. Anyways,
yeah.
So you've lost a little respect for Daily Wire, but you're saying that they have done some great things,
and I'm sure they're still going to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing that goes in this whole situation. Where yes, I hope at some point down the line here they can do their whole kiss and make up thing, whatever. And
I would love to see Ben and Ben and Crowder do that.
Maybe not literally.
Not a literal kiss.
No. But I would like to see them mend the stuff that's been going on in the end. Because this is where, we all have our times where we do something stupid. We upset other people in our lives, especially our friends. It's easy to do that, it seems like, from time to time. And then with the whole outrage of like they're saying how dare Steven record this kind of thing, and I was like, I get it. Just because someone's your friend doesn't mean they can't do something that's wrong. And I mean, as far as this like business stuff goes too, then I imagine that's evidence.
There's this old saying, never go into business with a friend or family.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And you can go, well, why is he recording a friend? If they're friends. He was probably recording for business purposes.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Now, that being said, and we'll get into this here in a moment, Candace has been accused of doing the same exact thing, of recording her friends and then playing it on her show, the conversation, and the woman didn't even know it had happened. She didn't find out until she was told about it.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
Yeah.
That's pretty rough.
So, yeah, all right. Anything else that before we continue? Because I wanted to get your unfiltered perspective before we started playing stuff that may then cause you to be like, oh, I'm manipulating.
Push my mind somewhere. Yeah. I guess bottom line is, for me, this whole thing is, and I would say as of right now, until more stuff comes out, and if I can actually think more in depth about what's all going on and whatever. I mean, I am definitely more so on Steven's side with things right now. It's tough. I can imagine it's very tough for them too, because just watching it and listening to it is irritating. So I can't imagine being in the middle of it.
Right. So the one thing I'm not going to do, the one thing I didn't pull clips from was Steven Crowder's videos. The ones where it's just him, because that's where he does his Stop Big Con website and all that.
Right.
I didn't pull from Jeremy Boring because that's literally him just going over the entire term sheet.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't pull from Ben Shapiro except that one little clip just now where he's like, oh, oh, and if you have trouble getting medicine. Okay, so what I pulled from was 2 Timcast episodes, Timcast IRL. The one where Candace was on. This was shortly after Crowder's second video.
Right,
okay.
Right.
I pulled from Timcast and Crowder, which was after Candace. And then I pulled from someone else who's like, hey, Candace, you're doing the same thing to me. Okay. So let's go ahead and start with Timcast and Candace. Tim and Candace, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to play the clip, and then, you'll hear why I play each of these clips, why I pulled each of them. Most of these clips are at least a minute long, so I know. But
I have to pay attention somewhat.
So, but there's a reason why they're as long as they are. So here's clip 1 of Candace that just made me, yes, I have to pull this.
And it was unfair.
Do you, I don't know, you don't have to answer this, I guess, but do you have a similar contract?
There are certain terms I recognize. That's why I immediately knew it was Daily Wire. So, for example, the fee reduction if you miss a day of work, right? Like if you miss a day of work, we are paying for X amount of episodes, and this is a steep amount if you miss one day of work. When you first see that, when I first received a contract from a Daily Wire, I went, that's a shocking number to see. Then you have to calculate, and by the way, mine was not this. I want to be very clear. I don't have a $50 million contract. If there's anything I should be upset about, it's that they were going to pay that much to Steven Crowder, right? I need to go renegotiate my contract. But so you see it, and it's shocking, and then you read under, which is what he did not include when he says, so if I get hit by a car, like I'm just going to $100,000 a day. He didn't tell you how much he made. You don't know what $100,000 means unless you can see what were they offering him. And you can calculate yourselves, okay, so what they're basically saying is that we're paying you $63,000 a day. You know what I'm saying? He purposely like excluded right beneath it that says that actually it's pro rata if in event of an emergency. That's a very insignificant thing that would allow people not to be enraged at seeing this.
Yeah, just to clarify, Jeremy.
So the first thing that she's obviously talking about and she's upset about is the fact that he was even offered $50 million.
Sorry.
So, you know,
she wasn't getting that much.
So she rounded down just slightly that it was about 63. She said it's about 65,000 per day. So for those who don't know what the contract terms are, or the proposed contract terms that were on the term sheet,
up for negotiation,
which Crowder, to his credit,
yes,
in his video, never revealed the amount of money offered.
Well, that and then, but you can correct me if I'm wrong on this.
Mm-hmm.
Was for that initial offer, he turned it down, obviously.
Right.
And said, give me a new one.
No,
he didn't. So people are saying that he said, come back with something else.
So we'll come back with when we get to Crowder's bit.
Okay.
So he didn't.
So where did that come from?
All he told them was that if these things, the if he's canceled off YouTube and that he doesn't, that the fee reduction, he said if that's in there, not even a starter. And and the Daily Wire never sent back
they never sent anything
and
back.
He never asked for,
he never said come back with something better.
He never said come back with a different number. He just said this will be a non-starter if these terms are in here.
Non-negotiable. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then, all right. So that helps with that then too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yes. And
to a degree.
And Candace even gets into that and says some things about that too. But anyways, the one thing that I want to point out there is, so Crowder points out, so again, the term sheet said 50 million. Crowder never divulged that. The Daily Wire divulged that when they did their video. And he said, all right, 50 million is what they're offering over 4 years, which comes out to 12.5 million a year.
Yeah.
Which comes out to the number of shows that they wanted. And I forget the exact number. He had it on the term sheet.
Right.
Came out to be about 65,000 an episode.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
If he spends 50,000 just to do one Change My Mind, 50,000 plus his normal daily shows, plus his all that, he's coming out behind. Well, then if he misses a day due to being sick or whatever, okay. Now the pro rata one where they kind of prorate a little bit, that's if he gets like injured or he's disabled, not he gets sick. He gets sick, he loses 100,000 per day. And how many times, I know you're a Mug Club subscriber, I was as well while I was still Mug Club. There were times when he got sick for a couple days at a time and he had to miss.
Right. Yeah.
And he'd be out 100,000. And, Candace goes, well, it's because Daily Wire hires their own production staff, blah, 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 blah. But in this case, it would be Steven that has his own production staff and doing the entire production.
Yeah.
And they still want to penalize him the same amount. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. And here's Candace admitting that, that 100,000 is punitive.
He did say punitive.
Because
he said, well, you're right about the costs all around it. But he basically said one circumstance is you're choosing not to work and one is you're unable to work.
Right.
If you're unable, we get it. We'll just prorate based on the lost day. But he also said something interesting that you could make up that day by banking it at any time.
Right.
So
I do that, by the way. I do that. And that's why it's so annoying. So I see these things, and it's to people who don't know how this works, first and foremost.
And I get that about the banking thing. I mean, that is a fair point. You have to give him the fair point on that one.
Yeah. I suppose.
Now, this next one just made me laugh. The ending does. And you'll see why on this one.
Faith, right? So he first and foremost lied by saying it was a contract. He lied by omission by not saying how much money, so people couldn't calculate, okay, really, how punitive is that $100,000? Not that much when you consider that there's a bunch of costs that go into producing a show and people that they may have paid, editors. In this case, he produces his own show, but editors, writers, no matter what, the Daily Wire has to receive that package and do something to it. So, and by the way, like I said, we know it's at least standard, so it's not because they're trying to hit Steven Crowder. They've given this to all of us, and you're...
I pause it before the end of the clip here. So she does admit, hey, Crowder's taking on the whole cost of editing and all that himself. He's not using the Daily Wire isn't taking on the cost of doing things like writers, editors, producers, and all that. That's all Crowder. That's all in that $12.5 million a year that he's getting that may be fee reduced if he's, kicked off of Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Take any of one of those big tech type companies and big things.
Yeah. Trying to think of how much he loses.
Well, if you, and this is, and Crowder covers this with Tim, if you add up all the fee reductions, it adds up to 110% of the fee. In other words, he could be penalized more than he makes.
Yeah.
Potentially.
That's messed up.
So at least she admits it. Hey, yeah, you know what? That is quite a bit. I don't know if it's lying by omission that he doesn't give the number. I actually give him props for not saying the number.
Yeah, that's not important.
Yeah. And saying it's a contract or not, that's a precursor to a contract or term sheet, because that's kind of telling you where party A is coming from and what they're kind of expecting from party B. That's a precursor to a contract.
Yeah.
Just because he didn't sign it, that doesn't make it legit. Just because he doesn't sign it doesn't mean it's not necessarily a legally binding thing and something that they wanted. And it says, please keep confidential. Well, no one kept that thing confidential in this whole proceeding.
No.
Not even Daily Wire.
No.
But now on to the part that made me laugh, because I think Candace is imitating a comedian.
Your job then, if you're a big boy, right, if you can put on your big boy pants, is to go to your lawyer and to say, I'm not doing that, this makes no sense, negotiate. Now, if you are a
big boy pants.
Big boy pants. Yeah, I thought when she did that, I was like, oh my gosh, stop.
Yeah. And she just got on with that. I was like, you big boy pants, you big boy pants.
And then she even did it for herself when she called herself a big girl.
Oh, I completely missed that one. Okay. But yeah. I would believe it. I would believe it. But she does admit, that to Candace's credit, that the contract or term sheet contract, I'm going to use the two interchangeably here, it can be unfair.
Sense, negotiate. Now, if you are a young talent that was discovered on YouTube, as I was way back in the day, who comes from no money, as I was way back in the day, this could be unfair because I can't afford a lawyer to go through line by line of this and redline this. That is.
So she admits, it can be unfair.
That's coming from supposed friends.
Right. And she keeps on going well, he can hire a lawyer. I'm sure you're aware lawyers are incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
They are.
Well, he's got his dope lawyer.
Yeah, but he still has to pay him by the hour when he utilizes him.
Yeah.
It's not unlimited.
But aren't they friends? So can he cut him a deal?
You're my friend, but if I did certain work services for you, I would still charge you if they were above and beyond just small stuff. Rebuilding your network, that was free on the house. But
I'm glad you're not charging me for that yet.
No, I get it. But if it was something that was a professional thing, entering into a contract negotiation between two entities, I don't care how good a lawyer he is, he's not going to do that for free.
No,
that you don't do that between friends. You don't expect that between friends. You at least offer to pay. I would do it. You would be the poorest lawyer I knew.
I know, but
then you wouldn't be able to pay off all your lawyer school fees.
So it's not important. That's besides the point.
Yeah. Okay. So Candace keeps on going with her lovely little statements here, but when we get through all of the Candace statements, then we can just discuss all of them here. So this one, basically, she's going, "Is he really worth $140 million a year?"
I don't know if I think it might be too far for me to believe that Crowder is trying to do this to pull subscribers from Daily Wire or make more money for himself, because the dude already makes a lot of money.
But not he does not. He thinks that he is worthy of $140 million a year. Do you believe that Steven Crowder right now is making $140 million a year?
I bet he could.
You bet he could.
I absolutely do
You bet
think
he could. But
yeah.
how's he got to do that? How's he got to start that? He just had a couple of kids. How's he got to start that? You launch a war in the conservative movement and you move people away from a business that you want to model. You know, I don't know who's modeling who. I don't know who started this first, but you basically say, I'm not them, come with me. And that's exactly what he's doing. Call a spade a spade. Call a spade a spade, okay? This was a plot line, and that annoys me because he dragged me into this plot line, okay? He dragged us all into this plot line. He's basically saying, at one point in his video, this is what really set me off. He's like, and so you might be noticing that a lot of these people, their viewpoints are sanitized, and this is why. This contract, this is why. Essentially saying that Candace is controlled, Matt Walsh is controlled, Michael Knowles is controlled, Brett Cooper is controlled, and now we know why, guys, because I have this contract, which I've conveniently excerpted portions that could allow you to discern for yourself, but it's actually not that unreasonable as a starter conversation, which is what a term sheet is, right? And instead, I'm just going to smear all of these people that are associated with the Daily Wire, and that's why I'm pissed off. That's why I'm pissed off, because I then was fielding comments calling me a fraud because they thought that I agreed to these terms and that my voice was being controlled.
Wow. Man, she's just a fiery one.
She always is fiery, and
Yeah.
I'll be honest, part of me thinks that that's an act.
Oh, I mean, I guess it could be.
And yeah, because it's way too consistent all the time. Either that, or she's just a petty little angry person.
Well, I mean,
So it's either acting or she's petty and angry all the time.
all the time. You know, I mean, if I was probably in their field, I almost might be at least angry all the time. Who knows?
Yeah. So this last clip from her and Tim Cass when she was on that one. Yeah.
And if not because you think it's going to go to court. Oh, because you think it's going to go to public and you're doing it intentionally because you know you're about to start a war. People, please use your common sense. It's not even because I work for Daily Wire. It is because he personally he's lying and he insulted me. And during his lying campaign, he's still lying. He even said something in this video where he's like, now they're sending out their... No. You took... If you're going to aim and you're going to hit somebody with shrapnel and it's going to be me, you better aim correctly because I don't like shit like this, okay? I have been quiet. I know Steven Crowder treats people like absolute trash. It's a known thing in the conservative movement. Ask anybody that works at The Blaze. Any person who's ever had a show on The Blaze, how Steven Crowder treats people. By the way, you want to talk about contract negotiations? Why doesn't somebody reach out to Not Gay Jared? Right, who used to be with Steven Crowder, and figure out why he can't speak. Why doesn't Steven Crowder release Not Gay Jared from his NDA? I don't like shit like this. Is all I'm saying. I don't like it.
So she brings up Not Gay Jared. That's Crowder's former producer, Jared, obviously. After this whole thing came out, two things happened. First off, Jared was like, well, it takes the honey badger, Candace. I don't know exactly what he's getting at there. Is this a lingo that you younger guys know?
I guess a honey badger. I mean, I know that is a rifle.
Okay, I don't think he's calling her a rifle.
Well, it's just how how some people go about the honey badger. Like the honey badger gives no boop.
Yeah, okay,
and stuff like that. So like the honey badger's got a reputation as a rifle. I don't know, but I guess the only reason that comes to my mind is because he literally just mentioned he's taking up gun stuff. But
okay,
other than that, I have no idea.
All right. Yeah, I just looked up an Urban Dictionary and I don't know what it could be because most of them are a younger person who actually pursues a significantly older person.
Yeah, no.
For romantic purposes. I'm like, I don't think this is her.
No.
So that's why I was like, I don't know exactly which terminology he's getting at there.
Yeah.
If maybe he's saying that she just doesn't give a flying F about what people say about her. But anyways, he was like, it takes a honey badger for me to get like 300 more followers on Twitter. Because apparently a bunch of people found him on Twitter afterwards, after the Candace thing and started following him. But he publicly stated on Twitter, he's like, I put in my 2 weeks notice at one point. I wasn't forced out, blah, blah, blah. And Crowder even addresses it. He's like, look, we had this whole big send-off for him. They left on good terms.
Yeah.
Sven the computer, that one's a whole other one. I've heard some bad things about that one.
Wait, the what?
Sven the computer. Do you remember that? He's from way back in the day.
Oh,
Jared,
no.
Not Gay Jared was still around. He was only around for a couple months. He was from Germany.
Oh, okay.
Apparently there was some bad blood there with pay discrepancy in that. So I don't know the whole story. There's just rumors and circulations about things. So that one was kind of weird. But other than that, it's like, yeah, Jared's like, yeah, hey, I left. I put in my 2 weeks. He's like, and I left for personal reasons,
Right.
not because he was forced out, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So,
okay.
And Candace is like, oh, well, talk to Jared.
Well, anyone from the Blaze and all this other stuff.
Well,
I can't imagine he can't be that horrendous of a person if he still has I don't know. I mean, the crew seems to like him.
Well,
unless they're terrified of him.
Right. Well, and Crowder talks about when he talks with Tim at Timcast, how after the negotiations fell through with the Daily Wire, he mentioned one of the guys by name who's his social media person.
Okay.
And then Crowder goes, yeah. And then a few days later, he goes, I don't know exactly how many days after the negotiation fails, but a few days later, no, the guy comes into Steve and goes, look what I just got, and shows him that the Daily Wire was trying to poach the guy that they mentioned. And guess what? The guy stayed with Steven. He didn't leave. And he admitted, he's like, Steven goes, I'll give you a good reference letter. They'll pay you a lot more than I can pay you. But the guy stayed with Steven.
So must be worth it.
So either the guy loves pain or Steven's not that bad of a person.
Right. It's worth sticking around for.
He's going to be a little high strung. He just has that personality. Yeah. Just like Candace has, just like Ben has. Just Matt Walsh is a weird personality, but he's also on my C list because he hates my dog, and wishes my dog would die. So, yeah, you can go down to fire Matt Walsh.
Matt is, he is interesting because it's like, I don't know. I know there's been things where like he's going off about something, and it's like, nah.
He gets stuck on little things and makes them into such a big deal,
right? And so stuff. But I do like he never really seems to like lose it. Like he's always like, I don't know. I guess in a sense like calm-ish about stuff or whatnot. He's definitely more temper than he's more was more well-tempered.
He's more even keel.
Yeah. So I don't know. So I mean that I don't know why, but I kind of like his voice. It's kind of weird.
All right.
But I do. And it's like real rough.
Right.
And raspy. I'm like, I like the voice. But that's the thing. I don't know. I can't imagine there isn't anyone out there that doesn't have issues with this Candace chick. And
oh yeah, there's definitely,
which obviously I guess after you mentioning there's stuff with, was it one of her friends or whatever supposedly, or was a friend, I don't know. But like we all have moments where like people don't really like us, and not everybody is gonna like you. So yeah, you're gonna have people that don't like you and think you're some nasty person.
Mm-hmm.
Get over yourself, Candace.
Yeah, this is how he describes a pit bull. We will never have a pet that could potentially devour and destroy our kids, us, or even the neighbors. I don't know what it is about us, but we've just got this bias against beasts that could wake up on the wrong side of the kennel and suddenly decide to send one of us to the ICU.
My question for you would be is, how poorly are you treating your animal?
Yeah, exactly.
That's going to be the biggest thing. Unless it's some wild beast that you adopt and then it just all of a sudden has a natural instinct to kill you. Generally, most wild beasts will, though.
Yeah, so that
keyword wild.
That's his thing about pit bulls. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
He goes, sorry, pit bull owners. No amount of impassioned advocacy can erase the fact that pit bulls are fierce animals capable of inflicting fatal damage on innocent people.
I mean, look at cats. They can be pretty nasty if you piss them off. And I know one of my buddies has a cat, and thankfully I can get along with this cat. But I just remember one time he was doing something he wasn't supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
and my buddy was gone, and I was trying to get the cat to stop, and that thing hissed at me and swiped at me, and I was like, I ain't playing around with that thing, because I know if you make a cat angry, and if it like actually wants to rip you apart, it can do some damage.
Yeah.
And they're fast, and this one hadn't been declawed yet. I don't want to get cut up like that. So, I mean, you don't need a big dog to be afraid of getting hurt. I mean, it doesn't take much for a certain animal to do damage to you.
Yep. Here's his logic and where it falls apart. He says, I don't understand why we aren't allowed to smoke cigarettes anywhere anymore, but you can still bring a pit bull out in public in most towns.
That's really stupid.
Yep. This one. Not every pit bull attack is the result of an abusive owner. However, they are all the result of reckless owners. Owning a pit bull is reckless on a basic and fundamental level.
Okay, Matt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he lost me on that one.
Yeah.
And he's been on that kick since like last May.
Well, hopefully he can maybe learn eventually.
Yeah.
Who knows? Sometimes it takes a long time, as you know.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, he's also just Matt Walsh. But anyways, yeah, that's all the Wire hosts are pretty high strung, and even though he doesn't seem to get worked up, he does get worked up quite a bit.
I'm sure.
Walsh himself, and
I guess I haven't seen enough of Walsh to know if.
Because I've seen him before the Daily Wire as well.
Oh,
so,
okay. I've never known him until the Daily Wire.
Oh yeah, I knew about him way before the Daily Wire even started, and then, well, not before the Daily Wire started, before he joined the Daily Wire, and then he joined, and then it's just like, oh, okay, he's a lot more tempered now. He's not.
So he is. What was Candace going on about how they're not.
They're not in lockstep. They're not tempered down and told what to do. Yeah. I call BS on that. Only because of the fact that every single host of the Daily Wire has said the same exact thing about the Steven Crowder thing.
Yeah.
Every single one. And it just, for an old expression, grinds my gears.
Grinds my gears.
Just a little bit about that. Because it'd be one thing if, one person said something and then another person said something different, whatever. But no. And here's the other thing, and I didn't pull the clip of this, but if you want to, go ahead and read, go over the contract as Crowder goes over it, or not the contract, the term sheet, whatever, right? The Daily Wire will have taken over all of his social media accounts except for his personal Instagram and personal Twitter.
Wow.
So when you see Candace Owens stuff, when you see Brett Cooper stuff, when you see all that, and I didn't pull the clip here, but like Candace Owens, like, yeah, they wanted to take control of my Snapchat account. She doesn't have one, but she's like, if I would have had one, they would want to take control of it. In other words, all that stuff that you're seeing from them, Waltz and all that, it's not them, it's
the
Daily Wire. And it's their
having them put out what they want them to put out.
Well, no. It would be like this. Aaron, you have a Twitter account, right?
Yeah.
You don't, I change the password on you. I have the password. I'll give it to you when the contract's done. But everything I post, I'm going to post on your behalf
through
now.
The Daily Wire.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all stuff that they want out there.
Yeah. So it's going to be all sanitized by corporate. Which also, I was like, yeah, okay. No, that's not happening.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I was on Crowder's side from point one.
Yeah. I mean, I was definitely at the start, but then I was like, all right, maybe there's some stuff going on either side, thinking that, all right, well, the Daily Wire is going to sit here and be open about the whole term sheet thing, but then also at the same time, like, I wasn't following along that well to where I really knew all what the term sheet entailed, even though I watched Crowder talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, and Crowder only covered a part of it.
Right.
If you watch the Jeremy Boring video, it is ridiculously long on the term sheet and all the stuff. And
so,
all right. So let's listen to what Crowder now has to say about some of this when he was on with Tim Pool on Timcast IRL.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with this clip.
Probably like you, we probably accept 1 out of 5 sponsors. But let me just kind of go through this timeline really quickly.
For people who are trying to understand what's going on, it's basically the contract you received specifically outlined
Term
YouTube.
sheet. Term sheet.
Yeah,
The term sheet you received.
I don't know if it matters.
Said YouTube.
You don't put something in a term sheet that you don't want in a contract.
Right.
Nope.
It said YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and Facebook.
Yeah.
Specifically, if these big tech companies are upset with you, we dock your pay.
Yes.
That's an important
Well,
distinction.
hold on. And
Consider.
not even dock his pay. I want to be very clear here. This is a production house. This is our budget that gets docked. Steven is not just taking, this is not basketball where you pay Kyrie Irving to go out and shoot hoops, right?
Sure.
You're paying an entire team of people to produce.
Before we get to that, before we get to like the finances,
Yeah.
and
Let's
stuff,
go through the
'cause I
timeline.
want to, yeah.
So this is where Gerald's bringing up right away at the beginning. This isn't salary. Steven's not taking home $12.5 million. This is $12.5 million to run a production company
To put
for
back
a year.
into his thing. Yep.
You know, Steven may not take home that much, and then
No.
you duck $100,000 from that just because he gets sick
Per
or
day,
misses a day,
depending on each
Yeah.
day you miss. Depending on what the
Or-
reasons are.
or heaven forbid you want to take a vacation with your family and live with your family and be present with them as they grow up.
Which he does have PTO. I thought, I don't know how much that
4 weeks.
was. That's kind of nice, but
Yeah, I know. It's nice.
that's coming from me, who has a week and a half
Okay.
of.
I get about 4 weeks right now, right?
Yeah.
For me, as you can call me almost a drone worker type. You know, I'm in the office. I'm not the one in charge. I'm not the one making all the
Right.
decisions. 4 weeks is fine for me, but for a person who's trying to run a production house, who's trying to
It's-
be creative with new things to do, all the business stuff that happens, 4 weeks is not a lot.
No, and I guess I'm trying to think. He takes off for some time. Well, he used to for Louder with Crowder.
You're right. He would take off
And-
during the summer. He'd take off during the winter for like a month at a time each.
Yeah. Okay.
At least a month at a time each.
Yeah. Which is probably well needed.
Right. I think after Christmas last year, he took off from like Christmas and he didn't come back till like mid-February, early March, something like that, which is fine,
Yeah.
but he couldn't do that with Daily Wire because,
No, he could only get 1 month off,
and that's now that he has kids,
that's going to be a lot more difficult.
and I'm sure Gerald would want a little bit more now that he's CEO. Poor Gerald. I don't know why he accepted that.
No.
Now, so, that's where they're talking about that. You're like, hey, this isn't money for production. This is where Crowder starts getting a little bit more, I guess you could say, accusatory. Yeah.
I suppose. I was just going to say, I did think it was funny when I was first watching Crowder on Timcast. It was funny because it's like, there was like times where Tim was talking, then Crowder would interject or whatever. And then like, I know just from like conversations we've had in the past where Tim tends to be the one always interrupting and interjecting on people talking. I was
And Steven could definitely hold his own on the interjecting.
Yeah.
And one thing, I don't know if you caught it or not. So they streamed the first 20 minutes of Tim's stream on Louder with Crowder. And then they said, hey, 20 minutes are up. Go watch the stream over on Tim Pool's stream.
Yeah.
Timcast IRL.
Oh, their numbers went up.
Yeah, dramatically. So
Yeah.
they normally get about 30,000, I think he said.
I thought, did they have up to like 120?
120,000 with Crowder that night.
Yeah.
So that is proof in the pudding that Crowder can bring numbers.
He's got people watching.
If he brought in 90,000 over their normal on a stream, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a chunk.
So it's proof that people will follow him and this whole controversy with this. But let's go to this next clip where basically this is where he starts throwing his accusations about the big tech thing, because the whole stop big con. He's saying, places, he's not saying just Daily Wire, he's saying places like Daily Wire and other companies like that.
Right.
They're in bed with big tech and that they enforce their rules. And he goes, in this clip, yeah, I'm told if I'll just play ball like the Daily Wire, that he can be remonetized on YouTube. I don't know if you caught this or not.
No, I didn't.
Same rules, because so that's all publicly verifiable. Now, I could tell you guys that behind the scenes, I've had many conversations with senior YouTube executives who say, we might be able to get you remonetized if you kind of play ball like these guys, Daily Wire, and insert other people here. I could tell you that, but would you believe me? Would I have to provide receipts? I could tell you that takes place. That hurts the creators out there who they end up, hitting a glass ceiling that is set the sandbox that is mandated to their creators. The same thing happens with sponsors.
Well, let me ask you real quick. What does that mean, play ball? Obviously, you're
things
paraphrasing, but
yeah, paraphrasing. titles, subjects, not talk about this subject or not talk about it in this way.
Yeah.
Maybe soften, don't use these words. Maybe change this a little bit. This happens a lot right behind the scenes, and that makes it impossible for independent content creators. The same thing happens, by the way. So that's gaslighting that you see right there. We all follow the same rules. It was about money, then it's about a phone call. With sponsors, same rules.
Man, they really have his mic set up kind of funky. There's a lot of S's and very harsh.
Yeah.
It's kind of
the Tim
high heavy.
The Timcast crew.
Yeah.
First off, it was a fill-in person on the board that night, not the normal person.
Come on.
The normal person missed their flight.
Oh no.
Yeah. So the fill-in person, but also all of their guests always kind of have that high syllabus, the high
it's
S's
just
and
the
that, and
standard setup.
And then I'm sure Crowder has that normally. We just don't hear it because it's filtered out. His system is set up specifically for him.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that that's the whole thing there. But yeah, I found that interesting where he's like, yeah, I could tell you all this, but and I would need to provide receipts. But yeah, we play ball, we could be remonetized like the Daily Wire. I was like, okay, so this is where he's starting to go more into his shots. He call the shots about the whole, because that's one of the big things that was part of this was he was saying, hey, if I go with Daily Wire or something like that, then I have to be sanitized like the Daily Wire.
Which I guess he would be much. I should say he is a lot more, I guess, offensive than the Daily Wire is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
definitely
that would take away.
I remember his shirt that he had for sale. Socialism is for figs. Remember?
Oh, that got that was no longer allowed.
YouTube told him, even though he wasn't selling it on the site or YouTube site, he couldn't sell it, right?
Right.
And I didn't pull it from here, but he talks about a story like where they were told they can't sell that shirt anymore. So he stopped selling the shirt. Instead, he sold a mystery box.
Put that in the mystery box.
And then apparently someone at YouTube caught on and said, you can't be doing this either. Yeah. I was like, oh, dang it, I missed my chance for a shirt. It just made me a little sad inside. But
just send him a personal email.
There was a video, and maybe I'll pull it up and put it in the notes.
Okay.
This is a reminder to myself to do this in the future.
Okay.
But there's a video of, essentially someone from the Daily Wire leaked it where they're doing a Ben Shapiro recording. And they're doing the recording. Ben Shapiro says a joke, and then a minute later he goes, "You know what? No, let's pull that. That's offensive. Let's pull the offensive joke. I don't want to be offensive."
What?
Yeah. So I'll have to find that again.
Interesting.
I was watching that and I was just like, wow, okay.
Wow.
So they are very whitewashed.
Good song.
I didn't need to invoke a song name, but yes.
Wow. Yeah. I guess I do like that about then for Crowder since it's a live show.
Yeah. And Crowder will just let it fly sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't agree with it. Okay.
No. Some of the stuff that he does, I'm not a fan of. Oh gosh. And there's definitely been moments where I'm like, really? Why you gotta do that?
Yeah.
Especially when it came to the drinking games.
Yeah,
that was a whole other thing for me. I was like,
the drinking games, like the language with Crowder is sometimes a little rougher than I'd like.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm still always a little funny on the language thing. It's like I don't necessarily like it, but at the same time I don't care. Now also depends on the audience, because obviously I don't necessarily want a lot of little kids being around to always listen to that. But and so I'm thankful, at least for the times that he does do it, he'll give the warning, this is not going to be a family friendly show. It never really is, but there's the moments where he's
especially some of the topics covered.
Yes. Yeah. So I do appreciate that, at least on his end.
Yeah. Like I said, I could
do without it, but
I could do without it.
So for Crowder, it's there's the times obviously they have their Christian talk segments and stuff like that. Granted, more comes from Jared, but that's one thing that always gets me from time to time, I guess, is Crowder, yes, he says he's a Christian, and I mean, so do I.
Right.
And that's where it's like I'm not against him using language. I don't think. I don't know. I'm not 100% like sold on everything else, the whole language thing, which we've talked about in the past. But it's, I guess, yeah, as you just said, he doesn't claim to be a preacher thing, which is cool. But it's like, yeah, no preacher would ever use language like that. But it's like, they do. There's ones out there that
I know
that do, and that's where, as far as like, I like that about Crowder, where it's like it's who he is displayed on his show. There's no like secret man behind the. As far as I know, there's no like secret man off screen.
You see him warts and all.
Yes, and I do like that with Crowder.
Yep. Yeah, I think this Tim Pool episode was, I'm trying to remember if Gerald did swear or this was the closest I heard him to get to swearing.
On just Tim's thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It shocks me whenever you hear Gerald swear. I'm like,
I know it's
he's angry.
Yeah. And I know earlier on when he first tied himself with Steven publicly, because he had been friends with Steven for a long time. But when him and Steve, like when he actually started getting involved in the show, I remember Gerald talking about a scenario where someone actually went to the church that he goes to, and went to the pastor and was like, "You can't have Gerald on your leadership team," because I think he was a deacon at the time.
Oh,
and tried to get him kicked off.
Wow,
just because of him being on the Crowder show and that, and then like some of the stuff discussed there and that. And Gerald's like, "Hey, my pastor listened and said, hey, yeah, well, he's like, maybe not a fan of the language, but nothing other than that." It's like,
that's. Gosh, yeah, this could be a whole other topic, but that's annoying. Where it's like, why? It's like people expect people in the church to be perfect. Mm-hmm. It's like, we're not going to be. We should know this by now, but okay. People be sensitive,
right?
Soft little snowflakes.
All right, so let's see here. I have more clips here.
Ooh. Yay.
Let's talk about this one.
I just want to ask one specific question because a lot of people are bringing this up and they're accusing you guys of only exposing them after they turned down your counteroffer. Is that true, or can you add more information to that?
Yeah, I don't know why they're saying the timeline that he kind of gave was completely inaccurate.
Yeah, there was never any counter offer from us. What Steven said was basically, look, guys, these are the terms that we have a problem with.
Right.
And if I don't care what the contract says dollar-wise. If these terms are in there, that's bad, and you need to start again. This has to be pulled out.
So there was no counteroffer, because I'm seeing a lot of you guys say
there was the agent. I think my agent. They sent this term sheet. The agent said, "Well, if you're talking about 100% ownership, by the way, in perpetuity, forever, meaning, and it's a 6-year contract with no option to negotiate. They have an option to extend for 2 years, 6 years, locked in at that rate. And again, how do you penalize someone for money that they don't make? They're not going to lose money on you being demonetized. Now, I get that I'm a special situation, but they said this is demanded of everybody."
So there's a couple things in there.
Yeah.
So first off, there wasn't an official counteroffer. There wasn't a counteroffer. It was, hey, these terms not good at all. Right? There's problems with these terms of the contract.
Right.
The second one, which and Crowder mentioned it in his video, was the one where it's, and I get it. Okay, anything that the Daily Wire pays for, Daily Wire owns in perpetuity, including likenesses, images, and all that, right? That creates a very interesting thought exercise. If they own Steven Crowder's likeness, content, imagine a couple of years when you're able to use some AI, recreate Crowder's voice, mannerisms, a video avatar of him, and create new content of Crowder on Daily Wire, exclusively to the Daily Wire, based on his old content. All they have to do is hire some writers to say what Crowder's going to say. That is close to being done now. Use something like ChatGPT to write a script, right?
It would suck.
Microsoft has a new AI where they need 3 seconds of your voice, and they can create a virtual audio avatar of you. saying whatever they want you to say. It even is somehow able to reproduce emotional inflections and all that. 3 seconds of you speaking similar. They could have perfect replicas of both of us at this point.
I'm never talking again.
As you just did.
I know.
So that's an interesting thought exercise I was having as I was listening to that they own this content in perpetuity forever. And I get it on why they would want to own it because, he's pulling money at that time from that. I get that. So that one I'm not as problematic with, but yeah, I just found that quite interesting there. It was like, oh, there wasn't a counteroffer.
Well, I guess I wonder if that's where I got the idea of the Crowder team basically putting out there that give me a new offer kind of thing when Jared was just saying like, you'd have to start again. I wonder if that's where I took the idea of that they're asking for another potential offer.
In the Jeremy Boring video, or he goes over the term sheet.
Yeah.
He says in there, Crowder came back and said like 140 million is what it would cost for it.
Okay.
So one thing they did, one thing they didn't.
Right.
I'm hoping that Gerald is not lying.
Right. Me too. Jared, that'd look really bad if you are.
Yeah. So then we go on and then they address this lovely little thing.
Wrong.
Earlier in the show, you mentioned that I think you mentioned this in the show that you were in Hollywood, you were doing the standard talent route, and then you decided to come out on YouTube as a conservative, and it basically cost you a lot. You lost your manager. You don't come off to me as a lot of Candace was on the show and she said he's doing it for money. It's so obvious. Why can't people see it? And I'm thinking about that and I'm like,
do you believe that?
No, I don't.
Well, they're accusing you of counter-offering.
But I understand that. But the first thing I thought was, I'm like, Crowder's already rich. You know what I mean? Like, I understand people are looking at contracts and money.
Not really like you'd think. I mean, if they want to do personal tax returns and business tax returns and the charitable givings, we can do that.
This is
we can do that.
Again,
we can do it through a third party and seal them because I get private information. We can do that. Gerald will tell you.
This is again, people like why I care about the subject matter so much.
Yeah.
Running this business and making lots of money. I often say, for a guy like me, who growing up in Chicago and being close to the bottom of the totem pole as an American, which is great for the rest of the world. I mean, for the rest, America's awesome.
Right.
The poorest person is wealthy compared to everybody else.
Right.
Tim's like, yeah, I don't think you did it. And what's funny is, and I know what this is. I found this just funny part of it. They're talking about the money thing still, but you're not doing it for the money necessarily. And Tim doesn't believe he doesn't. I personally don't think Crowder is, but you never know.
I mean, solely for the money, no.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think so. But obviously you need to make money to keep putting out what you're putting out.
Right. And there was, I don't think I pulled it in any of these clips here, but essentially he goes, hey, if you could choose between the money or raising up a new person that's younger that will change the world for the better, Tim goes, I believe you would choose a younger person to help them. And both Gerald and Crowder are like, yeah, that's it. And I was like, actually, I'm sorry, that's coming up right in the next clip because they're talking about how Tim was talking about how like people are like aiming for the infinity pool. They want the infinity pool. I know that you know what an infinity pool is, right?
Dude, that I would. Okay.
Crowder didn't know what an infinity pool was.
Where, there's almost sometimes I swear he's playing dumb because it's like, really? You don't know what an infinity pool is? That really surprised me. I was like, whoa. But hey,
he's Canadian.
I mean, I guess, yeah.
They get less summer than us.
True, I suppose. But now he lives in Texas.
Yeah. Yeah, but
he's bound to have been to a place that has an infinity pool.
He probably just didn't know what it was called.
That's very true.
You probably just thought, ooh, interesting pool.
Yeah. What a cool design.
If only it went off into infinity and beyond.
That'd be dope.
All right. So here's where they talk about the infinity pool. And then actually the thing I just said, I didn't know if I had a clip of.
Say is, my point on the money was I view you in a similar way that you're ideologically driven. That if you have the resources to do what you want to do and you're living comfortably and taking care of your family, beyond that, I don't see you as the kind of guy who's like, I don't have an infinity pool and 3 Ferraris in my garage. So when they say Crowder is just...
What's the infinity pool? Is that the
edge?
It's where the edge goes off, like, and so, yeah.
It looks like a horizon.
I have no idea.
That sounds nice. I mean, I wouldn't mind
into a
one.
sewer. That's
Right, but the question is, if you had the choice between an infinity pool and a young, a talented personality who was going to help change the shape of this country for the better,
Yeah.
I think you're going to choose the change the shape of this country for better. That's my view of you.
100%. I had to tell this guy that it was okay to buy a reasonably priced shotgun.
Yes.
I'm not kidding. This is not me like stating.
Well, he is Canadian.
We've been friends. We've been friends for a while. Steven can tell me at any point to go pound sand, right? So I'm not kissing up. It's just like he's like, guys, I want to buy this shotgun. And I'm thinking,
Benelli M4. Benelli M4.
Yeah,
It's a good one. I got one. I got one.
Though, right?
I got
Do you have the H2 over?
I have the foldable stock.
Hey, look,
I want, yeah.
Is it basketball money crazy expensive? No, it's not, right? And so
Everyone in America deserves a shotgun.
It's not basketball crazy expensive money. That's good to know. But yeah, that was one of those things where it's like, yeah, if choosing between money or that, again, which I think goes back to the first video where Steven didn't reveal the amount of money that was offered in the term sheet.
Right.
Where that wasn't as big a sticking point as the other stuff, which it seems like all the Daily Wire hosts are centered on is the money.
Making that money.
Yeah.
I guess I would imagine I would have the same viewpoint on Steven too, because I mean he's even talked about several times on how he wants to be able to hand the torch off to the next guy coming up, kind of sort of thing, and letting them sort of take over that kind of a show.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, doesn't just want a big buck to take it easy on afterwards and be done with what he's done and just rest easy. Doesn't seem like Crowder to me.
So this next clip, I think, hits at the heart of why he had such an issue with this contract.
Okay.
Or term sheet.
Yeah, come on.
Whatever.
I wanted to make I got to make a point about, you said in 2009 you were like, you realize that the liberal system is holding you back or something to that effect, and then you eventually realize it's on your side as well.
Yeah.
I look over to Luke because Luke's the guy who's been screaming since 2006, like the Republican machine is lying to you all the same. Mm-hmm. The powers that were being given to the intel agencies and the establishment will be used against you. Yeah. Here we are.
Well, here's the thing. You're absolutely right. And let's be honest, right? How can you change all that yourself? You're doing the best that you can, right? But there's only so much that you can do. The difference is right now, at this point, an inflection point in history, as it relates to right-wing conservative media, I can do something. I can't change the intelligence agencies. But you know what? When I ask Carrie Lake on the show, I say, would you disband the FBI? Yeah, I would. Boom. Gone. Suspended. I can do something about that. I can't change the CIA or the FBI. You're probably more effective with that than I am. I'm an entertainment guy. I was a guy telling jokes in clubs, having beer bottles thrown at me when I was 17 years old.
So that's kind of the heart of it. He's like, yeah. And I don't know if you remember that because that happened later on in 2022 where he had Carrie Lake on the show, and then he was banned the next week from YouTube.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I do remember that. Yeah, he got kicked off quite a bit during 2022.
Yeah, he did. Which, if he was with the Daily Wire, according to their fee schedule, then he would have lost a lot of money. Because they don't take into account alternative media sources such as Rumble. Rumble is not a way for them to, quote unquote, recoup their money. Well, if it's not about the monetization, as Daily Wire keeps saying, it's not about the monetization. As long as you're not banned, you can be demonetized, just not banned, right? Well, because the ad reads drive the money. Well, Rumble. They have, what was it, their election night? They had just, I completely lost how many numbers, hundreds of thousands they had on Rumble. Watching
for
the election live stream on election night.
Yep.
Which was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
They had a record-setting number of people over there watching them live. So it's like one of those things of like, hey, there's other ways to do it outside of
making money,
outside of YouTube. And Crowder does admit that he has concerns about Rumble because it's owned by a Canadian who is not exactly like right leaning or anything like that. He's pretty centrist on things, but he kind of sees the writing on the wall for speech and YouTube and that. So he's like, that's why he's supporting him, saying, yeah, go on and do whatever you want over on Rumble. Just was like, So Crowder's at least able to admit, hey, yeah, I have these concerns, but right now, guess what's better than YouTube? Anything.
True. Yeah, YouTube is its own whole basket case of garbage.
Yeah, I have my qualms with that. So this next clip here then addresses all that thing of, hey, you're supposed to be friends. Why record your friend on a phone call?
A really good point. You recorded co-CEO of Daily Wire, Jeremy Boring, on a phone call.
Yep.
He says, I thought we were friends.
Yep.
A lot of people have said, wow, that was a messed up thing to do. It sounds like what you're saying in the context we were just talking, they sent you a business contract that was very bad, that penalized you 110% if all fees are applied, more money than they would actually pay you. And it didn't take into consideration if you made them more money. It didn't take into consideration how much money you made them. It didn't take into consideration if you were banned from Facebook, but Facebook generated no revenue. They still penalized you.
That's part of it.
So here's what I'm hearing. Here's what I'm thinking. If the question is, and I do have qualms about recording the recording, but we'll get into more detail.
Mm-hmm.
They say you were supposed to be friends. Why would you record your friend's phone call?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's an interesting point to be made. Why would your friend send you a very, very bad contract that felt exploitative?
And why would a friend not listen to you when you say, take me off the table, it's not a fit? There was never, just to be clear, there was never another offer that came through after I said, these are the non-starters. The penalties for big tech, right? The owning of people's names, image, likeness, their platforms are in perpetuity long after they leave. I said, then we can talk about the money, right? He said they came in low, and I'm sure my gay Cuban hardcore right-wing agent came in high. You find that, but it's like, but there can't be any terms without this. Once I said that can't happen, these terms, the big tech penalties, that's when talks completely stopped. It was never changed and said, of course, all these, it's like you saw in their first video, we have to make money.
They outright said that fee structure couldn't be changed.
Yeah, there was never another offer after that. I said, look, this is the sticking point. You have to get rid of all of these.
Change it.
And also, we can't do this. I'd love to sit as from one business owner to another. You don't have to do it this way.
They wouldn't change anything?
Yep, they didn't give him another term sheet or anything.
I don't know. I guess I would imagine being careful about saying they would not change anything if they never asked for another offer. But besides that point, still being offered something so cruddy like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's one of those things where it's like, oh, if this is what if you're trying to make money off of me like this and playing me dirty like that, I don't really care for another offer, I suppose, either, though. Yeah.
There's in business, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're creating a contract between two parties, there's always going to be negotiation. Everything is negotiable. When taking a new job, for example, everything is negotiable, including PTO time and that. Everything is negotiable. Okay. So I will give that him going, well, them not changing it at all. They never got to a negotiation stage, really.
No.
Because he said, these things can't be on there.
Right.
And that was kind of his line in the sand.
Right.
And if they're going, well, we kind of have to have it, then there's not going to be any negotiation at that point, right?
There's no moving forward from that.
So I would be interested to see if they would be willing to negotiate some of that. Jeremy Boring in his video did say, oh, you're demonetized on YouTube. Well, we can just redline that. Does that mean that you pull that out of the contract? Do you change it? What do you do? There's some terminologies there that a lawyer obviously would probably know a little bit more on. So I would like to give the Daily Wire at least a little bit, not of grace, but like of consideration that maybe they would be willing to change some of that.
Right.
But at the same time, if you do claim you're friends with this person, that you're friendly, and they have been on each other's streams, like for election night and that, right?
For a few minutes. Or
they cross streams for a little bit. We're supposed to cross the streams.
Yes.
Never cross the streams.
Dangerous.
Yep. They act all friendly in that. And he talks about how when he did his little comedy tour with Landau last fall, how the Daily Wire crew actually came out and
that's cool.
And they were all like, oh yeah, being all friendly and everything, right?
Right.
But if you're friends like this, you don't give them your boilerplate template contract. You give them something that's customized to them that will work for them. Just like, let's say something ever happens where this actually starts making money. I wouldn't just give you the standard, here you go, Aaron, here's your standard template. Be like, all right, what makes sense?
I mean, I wouldn't. I guess if we're going to talk about this now, no, I mean, I wouldn't expect anything from this. So,
but I'm saying, but if it did, right? Yeah. If it did,
you would still, which is very nice. Now it'd be like, nah, dude, just keep the money. I just sit here and talk with you.
You would regret saying that, but yeah.
I mean, would I though? I don't know. I don't know. I guess we'll only find out in the future.
But what I'm saying is, I wouldn't just give you I wouldn't just go find something on the internet and be like, okay, print this.
This is like the bare minimum of what.
Give it to Aaron and be like, no. I'd be like, okay, I'd actually take time to be thoughtful about what put in there.
Yeah.
Because I'd want to be fair to you as well as fair to me on things, but at the same time not create it such as that's so strict where, you're going to burn yourself out doing
Aaron,
things.
If you sniffle anymore.
No, my thing, and I'm joking with this 100%, but my thing would be if I see any more ums that look like middle fingers at me while I'm editing. Because all your ums look like middle fingers flipping me off while I'm editing. It's like literally I have a hand with the middle finger pointing up at me.
I need to see that.
Every time. I'm like, what the?
That's awesome.
So I know exactly where you're saying at because I see the middle finger coming at me in the timeline.
So bizarre. Wow. You'll have to send me a screen capture of that or something.
I will next time I'm editing. It is very interesting for me, but that'd be like something I'd put in just to be petty, but
that's awesome. I don't care.
But all that to say, because we're friends in that I would want to not just give you the boilerplate template.
Right.
I'd be like, hey, let's make this actually customized where it's fair and not something where either of us are going to walk away at the end feeling bitter about that it was a bad decision.
Right. It'd just be like, watch him not even read any of this and just sign it. I can get away with anything.
Yeah. Oh, look, Aaron signed it. I now own his likeness, his name, and his image in perpetuity forever.
Well, I ain't going to get you much, but you can have it.
Why is this goofy person selling stuff on TV for us? Oh, look, it's Aaron. How are you selling all this stuff? Well, again, going back to we're in the age of AI, to throw a little AI behind it, all of a sudden Aaron's animated selling stuff and talking about stuff that he never has said in the world before.
Oh gosh. Yeah. That would totally, I couldn't imagine somebody like coming up to me and bringing that to my attention or asking me about whatever it is you created me saying. That would freak me out.
Yep.
They could probably convince me I did it because I'd be like, I probably totally forgot about it.
Yeah. I'd be able to gaslight you with AI.
That's terrible.
Yep. All right. So let's move on to the next one here, where Crowder talks about, or maybe it was Crowder or Gerald. I didn't write who said it, but they go, it's not just strikes, it's also demonetization on the platform.
Only so much I can do. At least that guy can go out and fight for me. And I'd like it to be these guys and girls, not a guy.
And for context, too, it's very important. These fees pertain to strikes and bannings on the major big tech platforms, irrespective of your viewership on the alternatives we're all trying to help.
Or subscribership.
Or subscribers or sponsors. Right. And it's demonetization, too. That's
here's an important picture that should be painted. A lot of people are saying, Crowder, you recorded Jeremy. That's not what friends do. They're surprised by it. But here's what I'm seeing now. And, putting myself in the middle of this.
You're always in the middle of it,
Of course, that's what I do, right? But look, you go to the Daily Wire.
Phil, now your term sheet. Okay.
You go to the Daily Wire. They say, here's a term sheet. You go, whoa, this is crazy. Right. Hey, you can't do this. The Daily Wire then says, all of a sudden, but a few months later, Crowder registers Stop Big Con. Then he calls and secretly records Jeremy. He was setting us up. This email right here paints a different picture in that you talked with the Daily Wire and said, here's our issue.
Yeah.
Here's what we can't do. And they said, okay. And then sometime later, they try poaching.
No, they said, if that's the issue, this is our business model, and you don't know business.
But then they try and poach one of your employees. One of your...
And that could be an accident, but it's not the first time.
Yeah.
Well, but you said you mentioned him by name. And
Gary,
employee poaching is considered vulture-ish as it is, but it is business.
And by the way, there's a huge difference between employees reaching out to you in a company and you fielding
you're
it,
available,
which is which happens, versus going to someone who is clearly not available, who was mentioned by name, saying this guy is awesome. And Gary's hilarious because he's Russian. He was born and raised in Russia until he was 13.
And they go on to talk about Gary and how he mismangles phrases, which is entertaining. Like the was it the bush? Two birds in the bird in the hand, worth two in the bush, something like that. Remember that? And then how it somehow turns into him being stoned.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
I can't even say the phrasing right. And I'm not Russian, but it's just entertaining. But yeah, that's the employee that they were talking about that manages Crowder's social media stuff, right? That after Crowder said, "Hey, yeah, this guy's awesome," blah blah blah, and used him by name, that he then got. Daily Wire then said, "Hey, would you like to come work with us?" And Crowder talks about later on in the episode where he's like, I told him he could go. I'd give him a letter of reference, and he'd probably get more money.
Yeah.
So the guys decided to stay with Crowder instead.
Yeah, that should be pretty evident.
Yeah.
About some stuff.
And then finally, the last clip from that episode.
This plan to get the Daily Wire, and they were blindsided by it. But it actually seems like now there was a bit of a back and forth in that you said, "Hey guys, I don't like this." Then they say, "Well, that's a business." Then they try to poach one of your employees. Then you're like, "Okay, this is." It sounds like
it's been going on for years.
But
everyone in the space knows it. Everyone in the space knows it.
This is not an issue of they had a polite conversation with you and said, "We're sorry, we disagree," and then you devised a plan to come after him. Then the Daily Wire comes and tries to poach an employee. Then you guys are like, these kind of business practices can't continue.
And it was always about the terms, and it's stupid to say that this was our plan to get subscribers. I'm sorry. Like, I get a little bit pissed off with this because that means that you didn't pay any attention at all to Mug Club Forever. That was us getting in touch with our subscribers and making sure that whatever home we went to on our own with somebody else, we were going to have access to the people that paid for our content. This was not a plan that was hatched to make sure that we could ride off into freedom and do whatever the hell we wanted with this really great email list.
It would be the hardest way
for that. We said it. Yeah. It was clear.
And you saw the numbers there.
It sounds like you guys are like right on the precipice of creating your own network or your own website where people pay you $10 a month and just get access to that.
And I really don't want to have to do that. Like, here's the thing, right? Wouldn't you?
It's all for the email list. It's all for the money. It's all for the attention. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no. It's all about the terms.
I'm surprised.
You're surprised what?
I don't know. I'm almost surprised he wouldn't want to just make his own. I mean, granted, that's a lot more probably to manage, I suppose, as far as making your own network and all.
Yeah.
Doing all that kind of stuff. But I mean, it's not like you have to, but you do have to charge a certain amount to actually be able to run it. So, I don't know.
And to be fair, yes, to be fair, Crowder doesn't have the infrastructure to run something like the Daily Wire. All of his stuff all of his videos and that would have to live on YouTube and Rumble and that.
Oh no! I don't want to say it on here.
What don't you want to say?
I guess you can always cut it out.
Yeah.
So you're looking. You need a new job, Paul. Help Crowder out.
Based on what I'm hearing, I don't know if Crowder would be able to pay enough. Is the problem.
Yeah, I suppose.
Unless
you have that guarantee. Yeah, unless you have that guaranteed subscription, I guess, income kind of thing happening. Yeah.
And that's why I've kind of stayed away from startups as well.
Yeah.
Is because they can't guarantee pay. They might be able to pay awesome at first, but then as reality sets in on revenue, and I believe Crowder would be good, right?
Right.
And maybe if I was in, let me put it this way, if I didn't do so many stupid financial decisions in my 20s, maybe I could take that risk to do it. But,
so I'm not the only one that makes stupid financial decisions.
Why do you think I harp on you so much? Because I made these stupid mistakes.
Dang it. I never knew that. Now that you say that, that changes everything.
Why do you think I sit there and just shake my head sometimes when you do stuff? Because I'm like, I know exactly what I was doing at that time too, and I'm still reaping the consequences of that.
Well, it looks like I gotta sell a lot of stuff now. Not the motorcycle though.
So yeah. Now the one thing that I found was interesting that kept coming up over and over again was how they compare and contrast, Crowder recording versus James O'Keefe recording, and how they're like, oh, James O'Keefe recording is okay, but Crowder recording is bad. I look at them like they're both okay. Yeah, well, have I ever recorded a phone call? No, I haven't had a need to. I haven't had a business reason to, right? And then in James O'Keefe's side, they're doing it in journalism. They're doing it. So the reasons for doing it are two completely different methods and two different reasons completely.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's not a fair comparison between the two.
No.
So I was like, no.
I wouldn't say it's a bad thing to record stuff. Especially
if it's going to be like a legal negotiation, record it. But I haven't had anything. No. I think there's one time when I was close to needing to do that, but I haven't done that. So haven't had to do that. So that being said, going back to Candace Owens.
Yay.
Are you a fan? Not a fan? What?
No, not really.
Not really?
I've never listened to her before, really. I mean, I've heard small clips from her talking. I was like, oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say I've never heard anything that I thought was good. That was good from her. I definitely have, I suppose. I don't remember what it was. But, so yeah, I've never really watched her, but having this as, I guess, in a sense, sort of almost being a more first impression-y kind of thing. Wow.
She's not that much older than you.
This blows my mind. Wow. I've really done nothing with myself.
So she's a little bit older than you. She's 33.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Why are you saying wow?
To come from nothing as she claims, she must be doing pretty well for herself now.
Yeah.
Which is great. And taking it, she's married, because it looked like she had a ring on her finger.
Right. Yes.
So,
yes, she is married, has 2 kids with her husband.
Nice.
So
good for her.
Yes, good for her. Good for Candace.
She's a big girl now.
She put on her big girl pants. Anyways, so Candace Owens, 2015, how many years ago was that? 8 years ago.
Okay, yeah, 8 years ago.
Okay,
yeah.
So not that long ago.
Almost a decade, though.
I know, but if she's 33,
I know.
Take away 8, so 25.
That's crazy.
Okay, so in 2015, Owens was CEO of Degree 180, a marketing agency that offered consultation, production, and planning services. The website included a blog written by Owens, which frequently posted anti-conservative and anti-Trump content, including, and I'm reading from Wikipedia, including mockery of his penis size.
Wow.
This was her back in 2015.
Real mature.
So, you know how she's all catty now? She's always been like this. This has always been her thing.
I feel bad for her husband.
In a 2015 column that Owens wrote for the site, she criticized conservative Republicans, writing about the batshit crazy antics of the Republican Tea Party, adding, "The good news is they will eventually die off peacefully in their sleep, we hope, and then we can get right on with the obvious social changes that need to happen immediately."
Wow.
So this was 2015. Okay.
Wow.
In 2016, Owens launched socialautopsy.com, A website that she said would expose bullies on the internet by tracking their digital footprint. The site would have solicited users from, users like, whoever, to take screenshots of offensive posts and send them to the website where they would be categorized by the user's name. And she tried to use crowdfunding on Kickstarter for the website. The proposal was immediately controversial, drawing criticism that Owens was doxing internet users and violating their privacy. People from all sides of the anti-harassment debate were quick to criticize the database, calling it a public shaming list that would encourage doxing and retaliatory harassment. Both conservatives and progressives condemned the website. All right. So in response to this, then this is just irony of ironies. I don't support doxing at all, but this is ironic. This is just beautiful, beautiful poetry in motion. In response to that, people began posting Owens' private details online.
Oh, oof.
Owens blamed the doxing on progressives. After this, she earned the support of conservatives involved in the Gamergate campaign, including political commentators, Trump supporter Milo Yiannopoulos, and Mike Cernovich. In 2017, she said, "I became a conservative overnight." Yeah. Thankfully, that website never got off the ground.
Yeah.
Okay. So then in 2017, she started producing pro-Trump commentary and criticizing, a bunch of things that were anti-Trump.
I don't know. I don't know if, obviously people can change and whatnot, but I would be very, I guess, on edge with that person for a while.
I would still be leery. And she said in 2020, she said she wants to run for office.
No.
U.S. Senate or governor, but she will only run against incumbent Democrats. She will not run against a Republican.
Huh. Don't run at all, please.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, whatever. So she's done some other things. She has some other controversies with her in that regards. For example, Owens does support same-sex marriage. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But in December 2022, so a month ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Owens argued that society would benefit by discriminating more against transgender and non-binary individuals. No, you can never advocate for discrimination. That I will never be fine with.
So she's calling for more discrimination against the transgender community.
And non-binary, yeah.
Well, why? Just to get rid of it? Or hopes of getting rid of it?
No. I never know, and I'd have to go listen to her episode, which I don't think I could do.
No.
And she says, quite frankly, I think we need to discriminate. She said, I discriminate all the time. She continued saying that she does so when hiring or befriending people.
I don't know if I'd ever want to.
I don't really care how you feel about that. Wear your dress and you can paint your nails, but I prefer you keeping 100 feet away from a playground and all of the feet away from my children and me. Okay, that whatever. If I see you, I'm going to cross the street if I'm with my kids.
This was an issue. I guess this would go off topic. It can lead into another episode that we're going to be having today. But an issue I have with some of definitely conservative groups with the whole Georgia situation.
Yes.
The thing that has made me upset with at least a couple of them is where they try, at least maybe they're not trying to, but it's just how they word things. In my mind is them putting, wow, I'm terrible with words. But it's like they're saying that this is exclusive to this group of people. This kind of behavior is exclusive to this group of people. And that irks me up quite a bit. That was one thing that, especially with one channel that I was watching, as soon as it started talking and getting into that kind of commentary, I was just like, this is dumb. Stop. It just makes me mad that you're trying to tie this group to being the only people that are responsible for this kind of behavior. And so I was like, that's upsetting. And so to hear you read Candace's quotes like that, it's just like, she does not sound like a very loving person by any means.
No.
It would be tough to.
So, I mean, I was, like I said, I was definitely on Steven Crowder's side before, but after all that, going through, listening to all of Jeremy Boring's video, listening to Matt Walsh, listening to Candace Owens, listening to
all of them,
Ben, and just
solidifies it all the more.
Yep. And then how Candace Owens calls Crowder a socialist because of all that. I was just like, you know what? It's so rich on how it is that I'm like, it's that old adage. If you see smoke or smell smoke, there's probably a fire around. You know, if I keep seeing and hearing the same thing over and over again from the Daily Wire people, there's probably something going on. You can't tell me that that's not the case, because you're that, or you all think exactly the same and you have a monoculture. And I don't know which is worse, being told what to say or all thinking the same exact thing.
Yeah.
People keep saying the people are like, oh, it's like seeing our two. And I've seen this one, and I go, oh, I know where you're coming from right away. I don't know why they say it this way. And it's the same phrase I see all the time. They're like, it's seeing our two dads fight. I'm like, no, it's like, I'm like, no. First off, no. Dad and mom fight, maybe I can see that image, but is Ben Shapiro the mom? Because I don't want to see him in a dress. No, that'd be disturbing.
The next Dylan Mulvaney.
Ben Shapiro in a dress and the yarmulke.
Yeah.
That would be nope.
Hot.
No. But I don't see it as two parents fighting, mom and dad fighting.
No.
I don't see it as that. I see it as, honestly, at maybe at first I did a little bit. Where I was thinking like, okay, they're trying to do the same thing. Now I don't know if Daily Wire is really on the side of fighting against tech. They keep saying, oh, but we fight against the Biden mandate. We fight against this and that. That's great. And you guys do your own good thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you're too reliant on tech. And that has me slightly disturbed and annoyed.
Skeptical. Yeah.
Because if that is how they treat they're not staff, they're contracted employees, that gives me pause. That gives me pause if this will succeed, if they act exactly like everyone else acts.
Right.
Because if there is no difference between Daily Wire and pick a leftist organization, NBC, ABC, blah, 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 CNN.
Right.
If there's no difference between the two and how they act and how they treat their talent, then why would I trust one over the other? If there's no difference in what can be talked about because it has to be YouTube friendly, then why would I trust one over the other?
I guess I wouldn't.
So I have big concerns and big questions. I don't have all the answers now. All I know is when Crowder comes out and says Mug Club is going to be this, even if it's like $250 a year, I'll be like, hey, guess what?
For that much a year? Oh yeah.
Be like, hey, guess what, Crowder? Can I buy two?
Can I buy two?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'd support him.
And I'm not saying if you have a Daily Wire subscription, I'm not saying go cancel it. I'm not saying go
too late. Already, I'm just kidding.
If you want to keep supporting Daily Wire, support them. That's not going to make us enemies. That's perfectly fine if you do. I just have too many questions for that group that I don't think we'll ever see a clear, definite answer on. That makes me uncomfortable with it being able to support them.
Oh, yeah.
That and Matt Walsh hates my dog. So.
He thinks they should all be dead.
So, anyways, that's my final thoughts. Aaron, any final thoughts from you, sir?
I mean, the only thing I'd like to see out of this is, just like I said in the beginning, if somehow they could all just get together and have one big recorded raw, no editing video, and whether they're to come together or go their separate ways, have just all of it laid out.
But it's only
that's not
available
gonna
on
happen.
Daily Wire Plus.
Ah!
Actually, no, it'd
All
be
right, for that one moment.
it'd be interesting to watch. A wrestling match between Crowder and Ben Shapiro.
Oh gosh. Ben would be done for. Although he could take cheap shots on Steven and, get him where he had the operations done.
Oh, I thought he was going to actually wrestle, not just talk.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
He said cheap shots. That sounds like.
Oh, dear.
That was a cheap shot. But no, I could just see him like ducking and dodging, like, you can't hit me. You can't hit me.
He's a well, I guess, yeah, he's a short little guy, isn't he?
Who knows how tall he is?
But then I don't know how tall Steven is, though. But I mean, Steven's got more to his.
So Ben Shapiro is 5'9".
Whoa, that's taller than I thought he was.
Crowder is 6'2".
All right, Crowder's got this. Crowder's got him.
He's got the wingspan.
Oh yeah. Well, and just the body mass.
Yep. So, all right. Well, no more comments, no more things. No.
No.
Yeah, it makes me sad that I'm slightly older than Crowder. I'm 4 years older than him. By the way, I find it hilarious. His wife's name, by the way, and I'll leave that to Steven Crowder's wife's name.
What? Do
you know what his wife's first name is?
No.
Hillary.
Oh no!
And I'm serious.
Horse.